right, I'm heading over to record our podcast this morning. Episode 7, I believe. I'm really excited this morning to get started. Our guest today is Josh Thompson of Thompson Tile Works. I've known Josh since I was a little guy. Grew up playing soccer with him, hanging out, good dude, amazing tile setter. And got lots to talk about, including entrepreneurship and everything else. Super stoked for this one. I can remember where I'm going. So I'm gonna run over here, grab my Bing energy drink, get fired up for this podcast, and then look forward to hit the waves this week. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get notified of everything that's coming out with us, and stay tuned. Woo! What's up? Look at this. Look at this. Recording. I'm leaning like you can't see me. I should just sit up straight.
Recording, Shane. Look at us.
Sorry.
All right.
How are you?
Good. Built by Bailey podcast, episode 7.
I mean, if we're gonna record a little product placement here too.
Jeez.
Which one's first?
We were supposed to have a guest today.
Yeah, we were supposed to have a guest today.
Mr. Josh Thompson.
Thompson Tile Works.
Unable to make it.
Wah, wah, wah. Should we?
Classic contractor.
Should we go there? I was gonna say the reason why I have gray hair and it's falling out.
Who knows? Hopefully.
I don't know. Haven't heard from him. Hopefully everything's okay. And he's just overslept.
It happens. Happens to the best of us.
It happens. I was actually really looking forward to it. I was plugging you on the way over too, Josh. So we'll reschedule.
We'll reschedule with Josh.
We'll figure that out.
It's too bad because Josh is quite the character.
He is a character. He's quite a craftsman. He's a good. Even perfect. We'll get him back. Josh, call me.
We won't do it on a Sunday morning.
Maybe not.
Maybe that was the mistake.
Do we need to come to his house?
Yeah. Is Josh? I don't know this. Let's talk about him real quick.
Yeah. Let's talk about Josh. He's down here.
Is he single?
He is. I believe he's currently single. He's not married.
He's not married. He doesn't have kids.
No kids.
So this is Sunday morning for us is easy.
Yeah.
Get up. I've already crushed 10 things before I got here.
Yeah.
Right? But if you went circa kids and wife, 9 o'clock in the morning in a different town to get somewhere
I'll be
prepared
honest.
to talk.
I could very easily see how that could work out from that. Yeah, exactly.
I could do this podcast, or I could just sit on my fucking ass
and not even talk to him.
Do anything.
Yeah.
He might be sleeping.
Hopefully that's what's going on, and it's not anything worse than that.
Wow.
All right. Well, we will have another Josh on here in a couple weeks. I know you're going on vacation or a work trip or something. I'm going on actually shockingly, at our age, we shouldn't be doing this anymore, but I'm going to a bachelor party in Lawrence, Kansas.
Whoa!
Rock shock,
baby. Whose bachelor party?
My friend Joe from KU.
Oh, Joe.
Yep. So he's getting remarried.
Okay.
And which is shocking in itself. I didn't think that was going to happen.
What? That he had no value to society?
Zero
or
value.
Another woman?
No, that he was so resistant to it.
In Lawrence?
No, it's just a bachelor party. No, he's gonna get married in Chicago.
But he's doing his bachelor party in Lawrence.
We're starting in Lawrence, and then I believe we're going to Kansas City the next day, and then hanging out there that weekend.
Are you guys watching the game?
We are, because it's an away game that weekend. That's the only weekend it would work out.
So you're not going out?
We're not. We can't go to the field house
or the MMA Center.
Yeah.
How crazy!
Wow.
Did you watch it? I watched it live.
I've had some trials and tribulations the last couple of years, and the reason I'm saying that is because I don't have actual cable.
Yeah.
I have the Xfinity app. I don't get ESPN.
But you saw the.
So I've watched the brawl itself probably 20 times.
Dude.
Yeah.
I was watching it live. It was the strangest thing. I record everything now. 2020.
So do we.
Yeah, exactly. I was, record it, kids go to bed, not gonna watch it. Now if I want to yell at the KU basketball game,
I'll be there soon.
I can sit there, I don't have to worry if I'm setting a bad example to my children.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
It's like watching my dad watch the Royals like in the 1980s. It was like,
You're not even playing.
this doesn't even seem like a
Relax.
decent human being watching
Yeah.
the Royals game. Is this my father?
Dick.
Yeah. But I was watching it, and I was watching Sylvia DeSalvo.
Yeah. DeSalvo.
Dribbling the ball up, and I could tell, I mean, that defender looks like he wants to steal it. So for anybody, just real quick context.
Frame this out real quick. It's
Kansas
huge
Jayhawks
rivalry
basketball against their in-state rival Kansas State. It's in the historic Allen Fieldhouse, which is like the St. Andrews of, like the golf place of
the actual rules of basketball
Hang
are
there.
currently in this building.
On the court, it's called James Naismith Court, so this real historic arena. And KU is a,
Powerhouse. I mean, they're
a
right
powerhouse. They're one of the blue chip programs. They get all the players. It's always the other team's biggest game kind of thing. Well, anyways, our in-state rival comes in. They start playing a basketball. They start playing a basketball game, and an MMA fight breaks out. Yeah. But yeah, we're up by almost 20 points.
Oh, God.
More than 20
It was
points.
86 to 59.
And that is sportsmanship and courtesy. The clock's winding
They're just
down. So just dribble the ball up. No need to score.
6 seconds left.
6 seconds left. Clearly, game's over.
Yeah.
Coaches are starting to walk to each other, shaking hands. One of those kind of nice, like, thank you for not trying to score in the last 6 seconds. And a K-State player decides to try to steal the ball and go get himself one more basket.
Yep.
And the guy
to try and get over 60 points.
Yes, and the guy that steals the ball goes down for his layup, and the guy that got the ball stolen from him, DeSosa, decided, no, fuck you.
Right. No.
And
you don't get to do that.
Runs him down and literally like volleyball
tosses his
shit. But he packs it back, legal, no foul.
Yeah, no foul, nothing, game over.
And just stands over the top of him. K-State guys run off the bench.
Mm-hmm. Immediately.
Which is another no-no.
Right.
And you're asking a 19-year-old kid to handle that situation correctly.
I've had this conversation with, speaking of Joe and my friend Scott from KU. What's up, boys? We had a long discussion about this, and they both know I've had, it's no secret, I've had a temper of that sort for many years. Fuck you. And what I was trying to say is, you're right, 19-year-old kid, he's been through a lot the last couple of years with his program, not even being allowed to play with the NCAA, and there's some pent-up stuff, let's be honest.
Yeah.
The game...
Probably doesn't get the minutes he wants.
No, absolutely not. He's just frustrated, and he's basically sticking up for the program, sticking up for Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, in his own mind, that's what's going on. This is what I'm telling them, and they're just like, it's unacceptable. People make mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he stands over the
Stays
K-State
over
player
to taunt him.
and taunts him.
To let him know, hell no,
don't do that ever again.
What is wrong with you?
Yeah, the game's over.
Game's over. It is a flex your muscle moment.
Don't flex.
It should have just been a learning moment.
Yeah.
But what happens is everyone runs off the bench, and now you have 5 other 19-year-olds aggressively in your face. Right. Some of these players in street clothes.
Yeah.
Right. Who are injured.
Right. Yeah.
In his face, and pushes start happening, and then pushes lead to a punch being thrown, and then there's a brawl.
Yep. Sosa tries to go back, he retaliating from the punch, and all the kids.
It is melee.
It's I've never seen that.
Well, you've been in them, unfortunately. I've been in them where like you're coming out of a bar, and then it's just a fight.
It's just people
and
swinging.
You don't know. I think you've even hit Roger before.
I punched Roger in the face and knocked him down.
Because there was just a fight going on.
And then realized it was Roger.
Like, oh shit, Roger, sorry.
And he's ready to fight me.
Bodies everywhere, and punches thrown, and just someone's close to me, I punch him.
Sorry, Raj.
But this is what this turns into. And in that moment of, it's not just like, these things happen on courts and, pushing, shoving.
It happens.
But this became a fight.
It was insane.
It was a fight. It was a 20 people. It spilled
into the crowd.
A little bit, into the disability section. And in all the chaos and punches being thrown and people jumping and tackling people, he picks up a chair. Now,
as my brother says, WWE starts.
Yeah, and he picks up a chair, puts it over his head as if he's going to continue fighting, and whack somebody with it. But it's hard to tell from the video. It looks like someone grabbed it from him, but it also looked like he had a moment where he let go of it a little bit.
And he's like, wait a second.
And then when somebody grabbed him, you could almost see like he was seeing red before, and then you can almost see him once he's grabbed, like he immediately just kind of like stops and allows the assistant coach just to grab him when he stops, even though they're still fighting.
Right.
It was crazy though. I watched it. I was like, no. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah, it just kept.
And I was like, oh yeah, package shit. Like you let him know.
Yeah.
Right. That no way. And what a lot of people don't understand too. We won't talk about it as much, but it happened earlier in the year when we were playing Monmouth. Yep.
That's what I said.
And somebody did the exact same thing.
Exactly the same.
Right? And so here it is, it fast forwards in their house. It's a very just disrespectful thing. And you're asking 19-year-olds to handle it right, and it's suck. I have some sympathy for them, and it seems like a lot of the blame is on KU.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
what about K-State?
Oh, 100%.
They instantly ran off the bench after that happened. As soon as DeSosa was standing over him, they're coming out.
Yeah.
The game's over. The ref, there was no, like you said, there was no fouls, a clean block. And like I was telling Scott and Joe, I said, listen, I'm not condoning his actions. I'm not condoning the actions of any of those kids. Mm-hmm. And if you make mistakes, we tell our kids, if you make mistakes, there are consequences for it. If that happens, you expect to get penalized in some way. Suspensions are probably going to come. You know, I'm agreeing with all of that. But in the heat of the moment, if you've ever been in the heat of the moment and been frustrated and played a sport, especially
a competitive
at a competitive level,
at that level,
and obviously I've not played
D1.
Yeah, I've never played D1 anything, but to understand the mentality that goes into that, it's the same. And yeah, you're fired up. Your adrenaline's been running for 2 hours, and then someone does that. Now, change it up and say, I blocked your shot, I stood over you, a little shit talking happens. Turn around, even maybe just pick up the ball, you know, and walk away. Yeah. But because K-State came blitzing off the bench so quickly and like everybody's getting shoved around, that's not going to calm anybody down. That's only going to escalate.
Imagine being in the grocery store, just shopping. Yeah. And 5 dudes come turn around the corner and get in your face.
Yeah.
And just
what's your reaction going to be?
Now imagine at 19.
Right. With zero maturity. Zero maturity.
And built like a Greek god. You know, and knowing that
phenomenal athlete.
Yes,
you're under a ton of stress all the time.
Take you.
Yeah.
I know.
Hey little guy.
It was crazy, dude.
It was crazy. I don't condone it, but I completely relate. I've been there on all levels. We've been in
crazy
social situations that have happened. I've been on the field where that's happened.
The backlash from it was insane too.
Just
like, he should never wear a uniform.
That's what I was trying to tell Joe and Scott. Like, you guys are reacting to something you've seen.
Take a breath, man.
Everyone makes mistakes.
The outcome was not good.
It was not good, but let's be careful here. What we just like. That's, I think, you want to get into societal talk. That's the problem we have in society is this guttural reaction, like instantaneous, well, you're an asshole. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I might have had an asshole moment.
I had an asshole moment.
But if I don't have an asshole moment and somebody doesn't call me out on my asshole moment, then I'm going to continue being an asshole. Right. So at some level, I mean, that's the thing. It's like, think about this young kid moving forward now. Yeah. When he gets in that situation now, this outcome that he had will be his curbs to teach him how to do it. And I hate saying it, but sometimes you need bad things to happen so a correction can be put in place.
You not only
you almost need them.
You have to have them.
You almost have to have these moments. I do it in business all the time where, you know, maybe things are kind of going okay, but things are stagnant, and I have a client or whatever. It's like I almost need something bad to happen. Right. Because then it gives me a space where everyone's paying attention to each other now. Yeah. And I can demonstrate, you know, my level of professionalism or my credibility, or I can become the problem solver, and then it will end up strengthening our relationship somehow at the end because they know, wow, that was really tough. And Evan, through that process, has really demonstrated that when stuff goes bad, he's good. Like he's there to be able to. So, and it always happens, at least within my industry, when heat happens, that the outcome when the heat's eventually handled, and this depends on how you handle the heat, right? That the relationship is even better afterwards. And it's like, now we can actually move forward. I've now, maybe I didn't get to talk to the boss's boss, but because of the heat it did, and now it was an introduction. And he's like, okay, we have a problem. And he's like, oh wow, you've been amazing through this entire process. And this has been really difficult, and you helped us. And they're almost like, dude, thank you. You're amazing. Now I have this amazing relationship with an executive. Yeah, this guy's weird. That guy's amazing. That is truth. And I'm just thinking I might be. At least that's the outcome. So that's something like, he's a better kid in a weird way because of it.
Right.
Not that he should have done it, but because of that outcome, he's literally today thinking about the consequences of that behavior, doing all this, and we got to give ourselves a little bit of, I don't know, man.
We're all
society, we got to give yourself a break.
Like,
everybody give each other a break here.
If like you said, if the behavior is consistent all the time, every time, same situation, there's a different issue at hand. That guy now turns from having a dick move to being a dick, right? And there, I wouldn't say there's judgment that needs to happen there, but there's now, you can at least form an opinion and say something, but when something, especially kids, they make mistakes, and Joe's got 2 teenagers. They're great kids, super smart, and I don't see them ever doing something like that, but they're gonna fuck up.
Oh, 100% they'll do something.
And you know what?
It's inevitable.
The hardest part about being a parent, and you're gonna start realizing this as your kids are starting to get to those ages, my son is now a 6th grader, you're gonna have those moments of gut reaction, like, God damn it, because he did something that and I've realized in most cases that I've done as a kid, and it's like, I know that's wrong, I know it's stupid, should have thought through it, but I had to go through that process in order to know poor decision.
I mean, isn't that really what wisdom is?
Yeah,
that's what wisdom is.
100%.
It's like, well, older people are always wise. Yeah,
wise.
They can tell you all the times that they vandalized something, that they got drunk to try to impress a girl. They've already done it all.
Yep.
So there's a reason why older people sit around and are smart and safe, and younger people run around and are unsafe.
Right.
It's because that was them. So I don't know, it's the profession. My daughter, Marseille, came up with this thing, and she asked me, like, how do you combine bad and okay? I was like, what do you mean, like, theoretically? Like, what do you mean?
That's a whole piece of...
And she's like, no, like, literally the 2 words. And I'm like, bouquet? No. And she decided to land on boke.
Boke.
Right? And she uses it now because she's a pretty perceptive little kid, where I would be like, doing the dad stuff. Marseille, put the trash in the trash can.
Right.
You do this, you leave your wrapper on the table, you do this and that, and she was looking for words so she could say, dad.
Okay. Sort of effort to be made. So I privately, sometimes I encourage that. I love to hear other people, but I think what happens is, and like you were saying, people get so bent out of shape because it's not their opinion, it's someone else's, and I disagree with their opinion. The first human reaction is, you're wrong, you're a bad person, and goddamn, I'm not gonna listen to you, I'm not gonna read your stuff anymore. Ugh, gross, ugh. That shouldn't be the reaction. That should be, well, let me just read his opinion. I may learn something from that. And no, I just don't agree with it. That's cool, man. You can't try and change someone's opinion, nor should you. But sharing that information is a good thing. You need to hear someone's view.
Something. I think this is where people have a problem distinguishing this. Is you absolutely can change someone's opinion.
Sure you can.
But not on that platform.
You shouldn't try on that platform. That's not the place to do it. No, I agree. It's not the place to do it.
And I think that's where maybe it's like, is this person saying this to try to change my opinion, or are they sharing their thought and belief?
Right.
Because I think there's, like, when I read that stuff, I think that's where I get a little bit of like drawback from, is it doesn't feel like, hey, this is what I think and feel, right? And this is what, and I want to share it with my broader community.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I think this is how you should think and feel.
Right.
And I think that's where I'm like, man, you were close. I would accept your opinion, right? And I would learn more about you and be more engaged with it. Except the difference is it's not sharing you, right? It's putting you. It's trying to share your thought to change me.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like that. And I think I've also grown disdain to it. But how do you differentiate this if you're in the industry and it becomes such a necessary thing? I think that's probably where most people should get good advice when it comes to like the business. If you want to be present on social media and get a following as a realtor, to me seems really easy because you have to let people know you do this.
Right.
I'm
here. This is what I do.
Unless you're a really successful realtor and you can put yourself on a park bench or a bus stop on the side of a bus, you got to get there, right? And by the way, that's even antiquated. Why would you do that? Why would you be interested enough to have people follow you?
Exactly.
But I think it's like, well, maybe part of the problem is because you're not differentiating that very well.
Yeah.
You're all of a sudden this really friendly broker who is a diehard Trumper, and then half your group is like, oh my God, I didn't know that about Cindy.
Right.
The hell was Cindy?
Yeah, gone.
Cindy's not giving my and I saw in a previous post she actually takes the money she makes and donates to the campaign.
Yeah, exactly.
Or vice versa.
Which is funny because people should
like,
do that.
Oh my gosh, Evan is, I didn't realize this, he's pro-choice.
Yeah.
No way. He just posted a universal income. Oh my God, this guy, he doesn't even understand economics. Give everyone $1,000. And this guy wants to manage my $400,000 home purchase. No way. And I think the differentiation.
That'd be a little hypocritical now, wouldn't it? As a realtor.
What, the universal income? Oh, I could probably make a pretty good argument.
No, that'd be very hypocritical. What would be the motivation to continue to sell a home?
So what do you mean?
If everyone's making the same amount of money, if you're a realtor, it's a very capitalistic profession.
Yeah, be careful. This is one of these rabbit holes. You and I all of a sudden will go down. It's not. Look, by the way, I do not think everyone should just get $1,000.
No.
Let me argue this real quick. It's not that everybody makes the same amount of money. It's that everybody is given a certain amount of money.
From tax money, right?
From tax money,
just to frame it. Yeah.
Just to frame it. Yeah. And I have not. This is the whole Andrew Wings platform. I think that is too much of an experiment. Who knows? Maybe something like that works. Maybe something like you can do that. But America is not a toy. That we're already experimenting with democracy and we struggle with it.
But it's not a democracy. It's a capitalist country. That's my point. Right now, it's not a democracy. Is it not? It's not.
It's not. You have to define democracy.
No, it's defined.
Well, I know, but no. Well,
I can define it any way I want.
You
can't. That's what I'm saying. You can't interpret it. What is democracy?
Define it. How would you define democracy?
Let's pull up the actual definition. But it's if you take the dictionary.
Also, before you say that, I'm going to read it. You're maybe like, oh shit, that's democracy.
It's not. I'm telling you, not this country. That's part of the problem. And listen, this is a
system of government by the whole population or all the eligible members of a state, typically through elected representatives.
Yeah.
Now, parentheses, capitalism and democracy are ascendant in the third world.
Where did you find that?
This is on.
Would you say ascended in the third world?
Yeah, I'll say government by the people, rule of the majority. Okay, so here we go. This is a way better definition. Government by the people, especially rule of majority. A government in which the supreme power is vested in the people and exercised by them directly or indirectly through a system of representation, usually involving periodically held free elections. So basically, it's the center is the people. So democracy is saying, look, this is a free society that is dictated and set by the rules by the entire body of people.
So in theory, that's how our country is supposedly set up. But is that how it works? That's why I'm saying the definition says one thing, but the way the country is working
Well, I
right
think
now,
there's deterrence to it. I mean,
the whole argument of how Trump got elected. Now I know we're going down a stupid rabbit hole, but the whole argument of how Trump got elected has nothing to do with that definition. That's if you want to be on the Democratic side of that argument, that's exactly what they're saying didn't happen. We didn't get to make that choice. It was made by somebody else to get him into office. That's their whole argument right now.
Not the fact that he didn't get the popular vote?
Correct.
But the people voted on the electoral process by voting people in to make decisions on this.
But the electoral process, I know that's exactly right. The electoral process.
The people could get rid of the electoral process.
Could we though? In theory,
we would have to vote people into office that want to get rid of. I mean, isn't this kind of the whole like Bernie Sanders with the free higher education thing, right? So here is somebody that if you believe that college should be free, right, then you could vote for Bernie Sanders and he would go push that platform.
Yeah.
Now he would have to go against the opposing viewpoint, which are also voted in by the people.
Sure.
So I guess in theory,
in theory they're voted in by the people.
That's what I'm saying, though. But I guess this was the point why we got onto this. It's like it is the perception isn't. I mean, maybe this was the whole reason we got into it. But the perception is not always the clear-cut reality.
Right.
Right. So democracy, as a loose definition, is 100% what we have.
Yep.
But as you look at all the pieces and how things would have to change within that democracy are complicated. And in there is corruption, in there is systemic racism, in there is cultural ideology. Take for example, like the Confederate flag.
Right.
One group says that's an absolutely hatred, historic imagery. And the other one says, well, I mean, I guess I see your point, but it's also historically cultural significant to us. And so it's like, well, it depends on your viewpoint.
Sure.
I have my strong viewpoint on it, but that changes for somewhere. Yeah. It's the same thing like I think you and I have even talked about, like, people correct me sometimes, like, did you say across with the T? And it's like, yeah, that's more geographical and cultural dialect.
How do you say Creek?
Warsh.
Warsh.
Well, you pronounced it wrong by the dictionary, but you got to be careful saying that to people because that's how it's said.
Yeah.
I'd be like saying y'all. It's like, well, y'all is a word. No, it's not. Y'all is not a word, and there is an actual factual definition like democracy, but it changes. But anyways, universal income. It's too much of an experiment. We're too important to the world to be doing that kind of thing. That's what I'm saying. That's like going from 100 to 0. If you want more of a progressive idea, I think you need to work into it. I don't want to go. This is my biggest fear, by the way. My biggest fear about this upcoming election.
You only have one?
Yeah. Is okay. I'm not a Trump guy. I see.
Well, go ahead.
No,
yeah.
Just it's me. I'm not a Trump guy for my reasons.
I don't know
I'm not
who
a Trump guy.
but go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
I do not want him to be the president again, right? And I know already we have this diverse family. I have my reasons.
Tables have been thrown already.
I'm not
maybe.
It doesn't make me an Antifa. I'm certainly not, because I can't stand some of those people either. But my point is, I don't want to go from Trump to like Andrew Lang.
Yeah.
Right? That's 0 to 100.
Or Trump to Bernie Sanders. If you think about it, just a capitalistic stock market environment, think what that would reflect. You know what I mean?
And even if I thought we needed to go to, and I don't necessarily, or at least at this point, that's where we should be heading towards, right? Even if I thought we should be more like Finland or Norway or, Scandinavian in kind of our ideology politically. We don't go from Trump to that. That's like being a heroin addict and then just one day waking up and saying, I'm not taking it anymore.
Stop.
Like, bro, you need to go spend a year getting yourself off of that, trying.
It's called rehab.
Or like somebody who's excessively overweight just saying, you know what, it's time to get healthy. I'm 500 pounds, gym every day,
3 miles every
salads
day
for breakfast. Like, bro, your body will shut the fuck
down.
right? You will go into cardiac arrest. That's what I feel like is we have this push where, the people who are really opposed to the Trump ideology of government or however, right, or just what we've become numb to now, to then go to something is too much. That is just ripping that is just stealing all of your heroin and putting you in a box.
Right.
It would be a catastrophe. And that's my biggest fear. It's like, no, I need someone like, in my opinion, better than him, but is a nice transition. I can wean a conservative off of Trump. The conservative says, look, I'm a conservative and I like some of the things that he's doing.
When you say conservative on that level, to me, that's like a...
No, like a more Reagan conservative.
No, that's what I mean. I wouldn't even go there. I would just say someone that's like, I only vote, and I know people on both sides that do this.
I only vote.
No, I only vote Republican. It doesn't matter who it is.
Okay.
I only vote Republican. So my vote was going to be for Trump. That's how I vote. I know people on the other side, I only vote Democrat.
Mm-hmm.
So no matter who's going to be up there, I'm just going to have to just figure out a way to support them and say, I'm only voting Democrat. So that's when you say like the Trump conservative platform, I think it's just the people.
No, because to me, like the Trump thing breaks into two categories in terms of supporters. You have the people who believe in the ideology of Trump and the people who are gravitating to the conservative views he represents.
Yeah, I can see that. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
So you have the people that will, get into a crowd and chant, lock her up! And then you have the people who are like, no, I mean, look, he's he's a mess.
Yeah.
But, my 401k has done better. I like the stock market. I like some of his stance on, being hard with these people. So there's these two, and it's the ideology people that I'm concerned about.
Yeah, I see.
Like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? So it's like, if you all of a sudden, let's say he, God forbid, or God hope, or whatever you want to look at, he gets impeached, right? Which won't happen, but anyways. You all of a sudden, that's the heroin addict, and you stole his heroin.
Right.
And all of a sudden,
you walked and just took it from him.
You take Trump, and you enter in an Asian American who is giving everybody $1,000. These people will implode. They will literally fucking go out there and just smash shit. It's like you can't.
We would have 4 more years of insane protesting everywhere.
Could you imagine?
I don't want to even think about that.
And look, I am, and for comedic purposes here, going to use a Southern accent. Okay, could you imagine? Like, you tell me we lost him over a perfect phone call, and then all of a sudden we got a Chinaman in here. You're like, oh my God, these people would go nuts. They would lose their mind. And he's giving my money away? It would be too much too fast. Even if that was right. And I know this because it's the reverse for all the liberal people.
100%.
We're watching.
We've already seen that.
Seen it.
Yeah.
We went from Obama to Trump, and these people lost their.
You took their heroin away. Yeah.
Yes.
Even though they didn't realize that the heroin wasn't actually doing them any good.
Right. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm defending the idea.
Because
I'm watching it with the far left or just liberal people in general losing their mind.
100%.
Right? We made gay marriage legal. We did these things, and it was and look, I actually believe in all that stuff. Right? I'm liberal in that sense.
But you don't walk one path 100% of the time. That's my point.
Well, no, I walk a path of look, I'm a logic person.
Yeah.
Logically, that makes sense to me, right? And and just sharing my viewpoint, I don't even care if you're Jim and you want to be called Sally.
Right.
I don't even care. What the fuck does that have to do with me?
Right.
It has nothing to do with me. Are you happier?
Yeah.
Great, dude.
Yeah.
Sally?
Just let me know.
Formerly known as Jim?
Sure.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Right?
Wear a name tag so I remember next time.
Yeah. so I don't care about it because it's logical to me. But I logically know that if you go from Trump to a universal income, this is too important. America, we're too fragile, it's too complicated, there's too many layers, there's too many things that the rest of the world depends on us for to be leadership. And for us to be sitting at the top historically, which we are right now. I mean, some people would argue that maybe we're not, but we are. We are. We're 2,000 years from now, this will be a thing. This 300-year experiment. We're only a couple hundred years into this. Roman empires last for thousands of years, and they're not. So we're in this window right now, and we can fuck it up, man. And for me to say we're playing around with this too much, saying I so don't like this, I want this, and there's no responsible thinking going on. As a voter, it's like we need to be responsible here for a minute. I actually made a universal $1,000 a month to everybody income. Now's not the time. That is not the place where we do that. You know what I mean? Anyways, what the fuck are we talking about?
Social media.
Jesus Christ.
In some way that.
But I think this shit all ties together.
It ties together, and I think wrapping up with that, saying that for you, it's ripping off the Band-Aid with social media. Pick a spot within the social media world and say, this is what I'm going to kind of focus on right now, and just do
you
that.
Talked about that a little bit.
It doesn't. There's no. They don't feel obligated. I know what I'm going to do with it right now. Right. I've got.
How do you describe what you're doing with it?
If you want to go to the YouTube categories, specifically what it says.
Look, it's bad, but it's okay. It is like her version of first world problems, or this. It's not good, but the world, we're not dying, the world's not going to end. It's like her version of that. I've been using it all the time. It's almost like, where the wife sees you loading the dishwasher wrong, and then she's looking at you.
Bowls can go on the fucking bottom.
And then you just look and you say, hey, I get it, that was bad. But in the scheme of life, it's okay. Right? And this is kind of one of those moments.
Learning moment. That's it.
Boke.
Yeah. Boke.
Nobody got hurt. There was no actual bad things that happened. No fan got hurt.
Right. That was,
You know what I mean? It's boke. This was bad, but it's okay. So let's not actually turn it into a not okay thing, which would be like stripping this guy of his scholarship and
throwing him in jail. People talking about throwing him in jail.
No. That is taking a bad thing. It should just be boke. That was bad, but it's okay. Yeah. This is kids in a tense environment.
Under
we
stress.
expect them to handle that correctly with 16,000 fans,
all the time,
3 million people watching the game. All these
NBA
careers and their money's on the line.
Scouts are there.
Handling that and it should have been boke. Yeah. But now people are wanting to turn it into, no, it's not boke. It is actually not okay. Mm-hmm. And it's like, I don't know, man.
And that's where it comes down to.
That happens all the time. You just don't see it.
It's because
they're never on national television. Now all of a sudden, if for some reason that happened, and say it was outside of a bar or something, it would be, we wouldn't think about it. Right. We would just say, oh, some kids got in a push and shoving match. Anybody get seriously hurt? No, I mean, just some punches were thrown. Nobody really even landed anything. It was just, okay, so.
Bunch of drunk young guys.
Yeah, all right. They just need to be careful. But because of the environment, the exact same action happened, but now it's upper. It's my issue with probably the same thing with the whole woke community. Yeah. It's like, whoa, we're taking something that's just bad and we're now saying it's actually on a big scale not okay. No, that was just kind of bad. Hey man, pick up your wet towel. Just when you're done drying yourself off and you go into your room, don't put it on the floor, man. Dad, it's bad. It's a bad habit. It's a bad behavior, but no, you don't have cancer. Yeah. We have access to water. It's okay.
But just be an adult.
But just this is boke. This is a boke thing. You know what I mean? So anyways.
So you don't hear me getting elevated out. I'm just asking you to pick it up.
I'm just asking you to pick it up. Is it bad? Well, I mean, it's a bad behavior.
It's not. You're not gonna get an award for that.
We're not. Dad's not leaving to go fight Russians. Yeah. But pick up your towel.
Mom's not going to give you a kiss because of that.
It's both. It requires a correction, but it's not really bad. I'm just tired of like having you use one towel once. We're hanging up and use it again, but now it's got dog hair on it, and I don't understand why you put it.
Now we're wasting water.
Anyways.
By the way, Uncle Graham, happy birthday. I know I sent you a text, but
Happy birthday, Dad.
you're only getting younger, and I despise.
Dude's crushing it, though.
I despise him because of how well he's doing. Good for you. Good for you.
Yeah, I talked to him. They went out and had, I think it was lobster legs. I was like, I called him, like, what's your day like? Well, we're doing crosswords, and we're going to play golf, and then we're going to go probably get some lobster legs. And I'm like, this is so far from my life.
I don't even.
So far from
It's like a story. I understand what you're saying to me, but I cannot relate at all.
Dude,
Just can't relate.
Seriously. We're lucky both of our parents are both live and well and healthy.
Yeah.
And they're doing good, man.
Yeah.
Good. It's a good example for us to watch. Like, man, that looks nice. I'm gonna keep working.
Yep. Keep going.
I'm gonna do something here.
Yep.
Or
hit the like button. Help us.
yeah. All right. So.
Yes, sir.
Let's do this. Let's let's talk about the importance of social media. I mean, look, you have been sending me a lot of great videos. I watch them all the time. I watch them too and don't share about shipping container construction, or like I watched the one where they were going through all the houses you can buy on Amazon.
Oh yeah,
all this stuff.
That's right.
And you're way better at sharing them. I watch them, I don't share them. I'm just like, oh, I'll watch another one. I should think share to Shane. It seems to be, whether you're a realtor, whether you're a builder, whether you're an engineer, whether you're an architect, whatever, it seems to be like anything else that social media is becoming a component in your marketing, advertising, idea sharing, like a research place for creativity, even a place to go validate stuff. I think that's where I end up going to it. Is I go to it like, I want to validate this. I go look to see if people are doing it. It's almost like there is this trial and error that's out there where you previously, if you wanted to, let me give a better example. You have this idea, you want to build homes out of shipping containers. You've heard about it. You would have to go do it yourself and get your hands on it, get experience with it. But now, with YouTube and following other people on Instagram or whatever it is, those people are literally doing it for you and you can evaluate. So in a weird way, I should plug it because this will probably be on the tube.
Yes, on the tube.
What's the name of the podcast with the shipping containers? Containing Luxury.
Containing Luxury.
All right, so maybe we'll
He's doing a great job. Thank you so much.
Great job.
Yeah.
It's funny because the last video you sent, he was doing that with somebody else's. He's like, because this is on YouTube, I'm going to plug you. This is free advertisement, doing the same thing. But this is the power of it.
That's why you do it.
Right.
That's why you do it.
I know.
Social media now is not only just a marketing device, a big marketing device for everyone's business.
It's networking.
It connects us so much easier. Like, it literally makes your world smaller. I mean, when Facebook got big, it was all about connecting friends. But the friends that are on there are basically people of people of people. It's like that 6 degrees of separation that you get to connect with people and share ideas. And the collaboration that happens from that is so much faster. I mean, Bill Gates, if anyone hasn't seen the Netflix series with Bill Gates, you got to go watch that because it shows exactly how. Now, obviously, Bill Gates was already rich and famous, but to be able to connect with people on a level, to look for engineers and scientists and the things that he's trying to do, how much faster he's able to get out and reach to people, to let them know what he's looking to do, and he needs help. So I think that's the biggest piece of it for me is the reach you can have to connect with other people. And like with Containing Luxury, he's sharing ideas on things we haven't been able to try yet, but now we have information to kind of like piggyback off of him. And his whole goal is to create this alternative construction like we are. We all have that same kind of drive. Well, now we can do it quicker because he's doing some stuff. We're watching it, like you're saying, understand it, learn from it, and then say, ooh, I have an idea because of this. What if we tried this? And so plugging each other is
It's
great for
interesting
that.
you say it makes it smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Because it also, it makes it bigger. I'm not sure if it makes it bigger or if it makes it smaller.
It makes your world that you're connecting with smaller. It makes you bigger for other people, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so like outwardly thinking it brings everything in.
Exactly.
But for you, it puts everything out.
Yep.
So depending on whether you're using it to go get information or networking, it makes it smaller. But in that same regard, it works equally that it's outwardly. So
Right.
you at that point may be the smaller view, but you got to put yourself out bigger.
Right.
But yeah, so it's interesting when you're trying to take in social media,
Mhm.
it makes it smaller.
Everybody gets closer to
But
you.
when you put it out, it makes it larger,
Right.
which makes it smaller for people. Yeah, it's weird to think about.
Yeah.
It's we were talking before this whole thing getting on. It's Shane, man. Look, I am like Shane's worst nightmare because he's so good. You're so good at sharing and encouraging and trying to enroll, and I'm trying my hardest to wrap my brain around about being more large.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why this is really resonating. We were just talking that I'm finding something out about myself by this process that I thought was really strange. I'm totally comfortable getting up and talking to people. I'm 100% comfortable. Actually, I like getting in front of a big group and talk. I don't know why. I think it's just because I'm so comfortable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
It could be things like ego that I'm not really.
People are just wired that way.
I don't know if I really just like, wow, look at all the people listening to me. I don't know what that is, but I'm totally comfortable doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to social media, I have this like real visceral, like physiological rejection of it. And I'm like trying to say, hey, no, this is good. Put yourself out.
Yeah.
And I just really, really struggle with it. And what I'm finding out is I'm really private. I'm really private.
Personally, yeah, I would agree with you. I think you are. But what's funny about the social media concept is I'm very private too. I mean, I don't know. People that follow me. I'm comfortable.
Content.
I'm comfortable because for me, and I guess for all the social media stuff, real quick, what I see it as is there's many ways to use it, right? Mm-hmm. Everyone has their own goals. Some people just want to be famous. So TikTok right now is probably the best platform. You just want to get famous and you're talented in something, TikTok, right? As far as wanting to teach and get information out to kind of get a goal in mind and create something that we're trying to do, that it's YouTube and Instagram, that stuff is great for that because I get to go out and reach out to people and teach. I like to teach and share my knowledge. So I'm comfortable doing that kind of stuff in front of the camera, although, as we do it, we get better. That's, work in progress, but that's why I enjoy it. But as far as like sharing what I'm having for dinner or where I'm going on vacation, I'm hesitant to do that too. Yeah. And I'm hesitant to put my kids in front of the, camera or whatever, although they love it. They're wired like you.
Which is great, dude.
Get me in front of crowds, get me on stage. They love to do that. I was never wired that way. But I'm very cautious with my kids about, sharing things. And as my following grows and more people are looking at stuff, I'm even more hesitant to put them in front of things. Mm-hmm. And I think the people that have, do follow me and see that stuff, they realize if there are, representations of them, a scheme, whatever it is, there's a concealed component to what's going on, right? Mm-hmm. And I am aware of that. I'm cautious of that. I don't know what that is all about. I just think, because the real world is so weird, I'm careful of that. And they're not making that choice on their own because they're too young to have their own content. Mm-hmm. So I'm controlling it for them. In this environment where, other than the video, we're sitting here having a podcast, no one can see us. They just hear our voices and talk shit.
Praise.
Or praise.
Or praise. They don't know about shit. Some people are like, I love it.
I love it. Yeah. So
it's just weird to me. But
you have to figure out why you're doing it and what the result's going to be.
Yeah, and I think the reason why it's such a not a point of emphasis, but like a thought for me, is that I understand. I'm aware that it is a part of progressing your idea or putting yourself out there or networking or it's a more fundamental process in business to be able to be exposure.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what advertising is. It's
Exactly.
exposure.
Right.
Letting people who don't know who I am and what I do know who I am and what I do.
Right.
And just theoretically, or like in the most simple basis, it totally makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But it comes with this personal element. I think that's where I struggle. I'm okay putting things out there professionally.
Right. Yep.
And I'm not okay putting me out there. So, and you and I have talked about this.
Mm-hmm.
But what happens when you become the product?
Right. Exactly.
That's
You are
where
the brand.
all of a sudden, I have no problem getting up on stage and talking about,
Your company.
communication, strategic intent.
Mm-hmm.
And talking about the importance of strategic intent within a corporation. Give me a room full of people and I will walk you through this very well.
Right.
But when you physically become the product, what you're selling, think Kim Kardashian, think, all these other people. And that's even like you don't even have to use that for example. Just think about you as like a realtor.
Mm-hmm.
You're the product.
Yep.
Right?
You're the brand.
And that's why I was kind of bringing up the importance of it, because in this industry, as a framer, as a realtor, a broker, a developer, and you're trying to get clients, it's you. You're the product. Well, kind of. But when you're out there saying, look, here's what I am, hire me,
Mm-hmm.
right? The way that we might monetize, like even this podcast,
Right.
we're the product.
We are the product.
And
Yeah.
so that means I have to bring me into the business conversation. And I think, and I'm just literally just thinking this out right now live with you.
That's the best way.
But man, I don't like it. I am Evan Bailey when I go do work, business, or whatever, right? And then when I come home, I'm a more full Evan and that full Evan I like to keep to myself.
Right.
I think that's what I'm finding out about, just even trying to get more engaged with social media.
So you've defined what you're going to use it for. I mean, right there, you've defined exactly what you're going to use it for. You're not going to be the guy that's like selfie all over the place to brand yourself to become famous as Evan Bailey. You're using these platforms, this platform, as a means to get somewhere, to do something.
To share content.
But what are you sharing content about, and why are you doing that? Are you, I think for you, it's like we talked about in the previous podcasts, and you and I both kind of wired the same way, is we get bored pretty easily, but we're always thinking about something else to do. We always have this idea and this vision, this path that we're trying to, walk towards, and we may be down here on this path, we know there's always a shortcut, or a way to get around to get back up here, and that's the way to use this stuff is, I'm not going to speak for you, but do you want to be in your job the rest of your life, doing exactly what you're doing right this second? Of course not. So you're looking for other places to go. You could use this podcast and social media in what you do right now to go somewhere else with it. You know what I mean? You have to define what it is, and that's
funny that you say that. And I had this conversation with a colleague. So I'm up for promotion by now. I've interviewed.
Do it now. Hire them.
And 40 people. It's an internal promotion. It's a promotion. An external one would be a hiring.
So
So
sell yourself.
So, no, 100%. So and you have to do that.
Yeah.
And in that environment, for some reason, I'm okay with that. Right? But still, even there, I'm looking at that promotion as 100%. That's my job. There is nobody who's going to do that job better.
Yeah.
And it's not even like an ego thing. It is my awareness of who I am.
Yeah.
That if they didn't hire me, and I told this to my mom and dad, if they didn't hire me for this position, it would be because of only one of two reasons. It's either one, it's political.
You can pay for each video. It's the how-to. Okay.
It's very educational.
That's what most of this stuff is, right?
If you're a skilled person in this trade, they could go to your channel and
Yes.
they could either learn something, validate something, whatever.
Right, exactly. Or even piggyback off other guys' skills. Like, I like to learn from other guys that are on there, not only in their skill sets and what they're building, making, innovating, but also just how to do the damn videos too, right? Okay, that's a great video. I can do it better now. and I can add more content to it, whatever. So there's a focus on most of the video that has to do with that. I mean, as Baileys, we like to be complete morons if we're given the opportunity, and it's fun. But
it's is that first default?
Exactly. But is that what I want? I can make it entertaining that way, but is that what I'm going to just do? No, that's not what I'm going to do. We're sitting here in front of these mics talking about all these different things. Our podcast is called Built by Baileys because we talk about all these different categories within a very loose industry term of construction. And entrepreneurship. And so what does that all have to do? And as we do this, it's a progression of us getting somewhere with it, right? So there's the focus right there. And we went on a huge tangent politically for a little while about that, but that has to do with what we're talking about with social media and ways to use it within this profession, and how someone in your seat is able to use it in this profession. And I know we've talked about, Evan and I, what we've done in the past together, but Evan is obviously an entrepreneur at heart, and he's also somebody that is an innovator. You're an idea guy in your own right, and using those kind of categories, taking alternative construction, for example, you could literally just focus on that. You have, like I said, you have a good eye, you're a good photographer, you understand how to literally frame something out within that and say, this is a good pick, I've got something to say about it. It doesn't have to be every day. I mean, it doesn't. I post when I think about something. I try to do a schedule. If you get a schedule, for some people that works, for me it doesn't work because I have a life too. And I may get behind in the actual work and not be able to do it. Same thing with you. But I've realized the way it works for me is something pops in my head, I'll bust out the camera or I'll get on my phone, I'll just do it right then and there, and it's done. It's like a to-do list. You can procrastinate and go, oh yeah, I need to do that later, or just do it while you're thinking about it. Like, take your bowl to the kitchen, wash it, and put it in the dishwasher. you got all the way over here, and then you just left it here. Just put it in the dishwasher. So that if you're there and you're like, I have an idea, it doesn't matter what it is. Just for you, I think it's because you have so many ideas, just put them out there. Just put them out there.
I would agree. I need to,
and that's advice for everybody.
I think that's where I was going with that. I think that's such good advice in general. It's just you have to be. It's just like meditation, right? Like where people say, "Well, I can't meditate because the thoughts just come into me." Once I meditate.
Yeah.
Well, that's the whole fucking point.
That's the whole point.
The whole point is that there's power in knowing you're thinking about things, and then you focus back on your breathing, try to shut it down, and you literally start training your brain as your brain is going 1,000 miles an hour. You start thinking about, I need to get a haircut. Oh my God, I'm drifting off again.
Right.
That's the point of meditation,
right.
Is that then you can slow that down and learn how to control that.
Yeah.
But my point to that is there's power in, right?
Yeah.
So there's
which it could be
there, which 100%. Yeah. Or two, I didn't do a good enough job explaining what my known is. My known is 100%. This is my job. And it would be a mistake not to hire me.
Right.
But I have to find a way in a 2-hour interview and a strategic action plan later to express that. So I either didn't do a good enough job expressing it or it's political. But what I was having
is a part 3 of that, but go ahead.
Yeah. Well, what is it?
Well, I mean, I don't want to sidetrack you, but what I would say is, what's your value add? Because I'm not saying you're not the guy for this promotion. But I can also tell you, I can guarantee you there's other people that they're obviously considering, internally and probably externally, that are just as smart, just as good, and just as worthy of this promotion as you are. So how do you separate yourself with having all the same skill sets, all being really good at what you do?
Dude,
this is one of those things. What's a value add?
It's exactly
podcast.
Well, when I did so they started off as 40 people, roughly 40. And then they whittled it down to like 20. They asked 20 people to submit an action and strategy plan. If you're in this position and this department is a focus, like this is where they want to build the next 10 years. So it's there's only one other person in this position, right? They're gonna bring 3 more people in. They're basically saying, this is the department that is going to move this $1 billion company forward. So, but that's exactly where I know my value is. You need to build something. You need ideas. I'm an ideation guy. I'm a creation guy.
Do you watch Happy?
Yeah. I'm your guy, right? So what was funny is, so I had to sit down and put the strategy plan. So what would it look like? And not just a 30, 60, 90. Like what would be your strategy, not only for the clients that you would represent, which is now not individual dealerships, it's the group. It is you're the corporate contact for AutoNation. End of story. 190 car dealerships. You are the physical representation of our multiple billion-dollar bank to their billion-dollar business entity. Right? And it's your job to infiltrate that group and build an actual strategic partnership with them, whether that's products and services. So we're going to give you access to the entire company, where every department, and we need new products, new services, new all these things. So it's really me getting to be entrepreneurially.
Right.
So right away I knew, like, that's my position. I'm literally built for that, right?
But you know that.
I know that, you know exactly right. So I had to put together a business strategy plan, and it turned out, and I kind of gathered this, and there's two things I think will be good for anybody listening to this on construction we can talk about, but I hammered in on two things, which one was communication. But they told me in the interview that basically I was the only person that actually had an idea with a strategy behind it, that the other people's strategies were ideas. So I said, this is what I think needs to happen. And I was trying to demonstrate, one, I'm aware, right, at a high level, what the difficulties are, what the roadblocks are, and here's how this would be the solution. And then I put in a strategy to actually solve that. And apparently I was one of the only ones to do that. Everyone else was just like either identifying what the issues are, or here's these ideas, but I have no idea how you would execute that. I'm feeling pretty good about it, but with that long preface, I was talking to this colleague about it, right? And I defer to people all the time just to get my brain going and ideas, and I'll get stuck in a very linear path of something.
Right.
And so I want to talk to people about it, and then just listen intently, like, oh, wow, that didn't go over well. She doesn't understand it. When I say it, that person didn't follow along, which means I'm not saying it in a way that someone else can
She's
hear
not getting it.
Right. So, and I do this, and I get a lot of value out of it. And a lot of times, some people just bring me an idea. I'm like, holy shit, I was actually wrong. You're right. Do you mind if I actually hammer down on that? And she said something to me, and by the way, massive respect for this person. I think she listens to the podcast. She is one of my ideation spots. Right?
Do you guys have an ideation room at work?
No.
When you go in? Okay, never mind.
No. And we, she said to me, she was watching this. She suggested I listen to this, like, I think it was a podcast actually. Or a book she was reading or something. And she's a seeker of information. Like, she's totally wired that way. And she said, just made a statement that you're not, what you do is not who you are. And I was like, and then she was talking about it like really positively, like, and she gave me an example, and I was just listening. And she used me as an example. You're not just a banker. Right? Because you could change your job. If you all of a sudden, she actually said, if you all of a sudden start building shipping container homes and shipping container developments and doing all this, then that can change. But who you are is whatever. And I said, well, I actually disagree with you. And she was like, no, I mean, this is pretty well understood that you're not, what you do is not who you are.
You can't disagree.
And I was like, no, because everything I do is who I am. I think that's the problem. I gave this example. I said, look, if you're a CEO of a company, you got to think how that person became a CEO of that company. Because they didn't come out of college and just get a CEO job.
No.
Right? They were, if you gave me the characteristics of a CEO, right? And you said, okay, what's the characteristics of a CEO? They're an exceptional leader, strategic thinker, a steward of professionalism. Like, you go through all these very high level characteristics of what you think a CEO is. And I said, now give me a janitor. What would make a great janitor? And it was kind of like, well, it'd probably be timely, trustworthy because they have keys, but they basically weren't equal to the CEO's characteristics. And I said, well, one second, that CEO at one point was a pizza driver. Right? So if you made me a janitor, it's not like I work to my level.
Right.
I don't all of a sudden say, well, I'm just a janitor. When I leave here, I'll be a strategic thinker. I'll be, you know, maybe this is just what I do.
Right.
And I said, that's where it gets dangerous.
Yeah.
This is just what I do, so I don't really need to be me.
Right.
I said, I think this, so I understand the trope, but I think when it comes to like, you know, the industry that we're in, or certainly you're in, this is where people say, when I get to a job site, this is just what I do. I just lay tile. And I think the trope is like, no. It's not just who you are.
They're good at that because of these characteristics.
You should still be the same.
Yeah.
You should still be a perfectionist.
Right.
You should still be all of these things. And that's what I was trying to tell her. I think the danger is that when we try to look at it as if what you do can just change, that's not really who you are. That means that you can be just a janitor.
Right.
Right? And then, but if you're a CEO, you're a CEO by title. But the reason you're there is because you're a leader. Right. Because you're a strategic
thinker. You have these characteristics that you always had.
So you do it in anything that you do. And I think it's, and I just thought about that. I thought that was good advice or a good thought that, you know, when it comes to like this industry, whether you're framing up someone's wall, maybe this is a better way to do it. Well, I'd probably do it totally different if it was my house. Well, then that's how you need to do it.
That's how you should be doing it.
You shouldn't be something different based off what you're doing. And I think, I don't know, that was a big takeaway just in thinking about that for me. Was like, oh man, I think that's part of has been my recent success is that I'm not playing a character. Right. I'm literally me.
You're just being you.
Right? Yeah. It's like, well, as a boss, I'm hard on people, accountability. But when I go home, I'm not that. It's like, well, then I don't. So you're playing to your role. And I even said to someone, well, if you were a CEO all of a sudden, how would you do it? Well, I would be totally different. I think that's why you're not a CEO.
Well, that's probably why you haven't made it there.
I'd be a lot more responsible.
Which is what I tell people all the time too.
You know.
Yeah, you then you're in the wrong job, then you're in the wrong profession, then you're
or you're approaching it wrong.
You're just approaching it wrong. Yeah. You know, if you're passionate about something and you know you want to preach about it, right? You pound the table about it. Then I always tell people, then go do it. Right? Don't. I got it, man. Hey, listen, I don't even know what the hell you're talking about. It sounds like you got way more knowledge on this than me. Go do it. You don't need to tell me about it. I can't help you. Just go do it. And if you're saying, well, I only do that at work because blah, 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 and like you said, I go home and I'm, well, but why are you playing that character? Just be you and go do it. And if you can't be you and do it in this environment, then find a new environment. If you think everything else is correct and you're doing it right and you're doing your thing, then you're in the wrong environment. So move on. But don't change what you're about or what you are, what you're doing. This is why, you know,
based on what you're doing.
Based on what you're doing, this is, and that's kind of like, you know, bringing it all back to social media is you play to who you are on social media. If you're a private person, then don't tell us what you had for dinner. You know, I don't want to know where you go on vacation, right? I don't want to see you without your shirt on. Love you, but you're private.
Neither do I.
I mean, it's what it is. You know, listen, that's, you know, the social media has something for everybody. I think that's why it's so great. And I had reservations about it for so long, and I waited too long because those reservations told me that's not who I am. Those aren't important things. You know, it's you know, there's this tainted classification with it where it's, you know, these people are don't share their private information. You know, people have their excuses for why they shouldn't do it, and
it seems like a look at me.
It can be.
I think that's why
you can use it that way
from it all. But that's where it even trickles into the professional aspect, which is why I kind of wanted to bring this up, because it becomes such a standard for how you promote your business, how you network, how you do all these things.
Way of doing it.
And it is still this very much look at me culture, and this is strange for me because I'm very much a look at me kind of guy.
Right. That's we were talking about that earlier.
How I dress, how I act, it's very intentional, and that's the weird dichotomy for me, is that there's elements of me that I'm just wired to say, look at me, right? And it's whatever that is, whether it's ego, whether that is confidence, whether that is an overcorrection of low confidence, whatever it might
Do
be.
we need to talk about that too?
Maybe we should have a psychologist in here. But whatever that is,
Yeah.
I'm that way. I peacock.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And look at my feathers.
Right.
You know?
Which is funny because ironically, I am the opposite of that. When I've been asked to go do talks or share whatever, or we're in a social environment, Shane, come tell us a story. I'm like, nah, man, I'm good. Just, you guys are. But you will be like the first person to jump in and tell a great story. When I'm just like, I'll listen. But what I've realized about the social media is I have ideas. And they pop in my head. I'm like, I gotta share that with people. I want to, because I've always wanted to be able to share information. I like teaching.
And now social media provides.
And now exactly. I have the ability, and the more I grow, the more we grow with this, we have the ability to continue to share and promote. And it's not me going, look at me, look what I can do. It's me going, I've gotten this point. It's me going, look what you guys have questions. Here, I'll just explain it for you. Now you can figure it out. I want people to learn how to do some of this stuff. I want people to understand, how to take care of their house. I want people to understand you don't have to pay this price for this piece of property. I want people to understand what a mortgage really is, and when you go sit down and you're getting a loan, what are you looking at? Like, we've done all this stuff so far.
You know what?
That's what it's for.
Maybe this is the difference between you and me with this. You have an actual specific knowledge to share. How to properly do a stem wall, right? How to insert and hang a new door, right? So there's actual specific knowledge that can be shared.
Right.
And I think where it comes with what my value is not that I don't have specific knowledge, but I'm more, like I said, an ideation, outwardly thinking person, right? And so that means that maybe there's a confidence level in me that says, look, I believe these things, right? And I believe that they have had great value for me, these ideas, these thoughts. And so by sharing it, it says you're sharing you, not the information specifically. And maybe there's something there that I can kind of think about a little bit, but I'm really trying to piece together, because I'm telling you, man, I've been really thinking about it, like, what is this? And not just, oh, I really want to. I'm like trying to be focused on the fact that I'm thinking about, like, there is something happening. I'm having this like physiological, like, that was a great hike, but no, that's my hike. I'm not sharing it. That's my hike with my kids and my family. And for me to share it right now, what would be the purpose?
Right.
What would be the purpose of me sharing that hike?
Right.
I don't understand. Just to let other people know I had a great hike? And there's something about that just turns around. So I think that's what you're saying. Don't share the hike then.
Don't share the hike.
Share something else of
when you see, so I see this for you is on a couple levels, as you kind of, with us sitting here, building something as we're trying to accomplish a goal, solve a problem. Your basis is to get out what we talk about and share your knowledge of, and I will say you probably have more knowledge in shipping container design than I do, because you spent so much time going down rabbit holes and looking at all the different ways to do it and ideas, and so that component in line with probably the fact that you're a very good photographer and you see the way something should look. I mean, even just set up our camera this morning, I had it all set up and you're like, there we go. That's great. I did, right? And it's fine. It's great. But see, I'm like, let's just go. Push buttons. Let's go. I want to talk. Your ability on this level is to say, if you can just focus on one thing at a time, even to help get kind of moving on it, is one, just keep pumping out what we do, right? Hey, by the way, remind you, we talked about blah, blah, blah. I have an idea. Share those ideas. When you see something out there, you're standing in front of a cool design, like this was built out of shipping containers. Holy shit. Take a picture. Guess what, guys? This was built blah, 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 blah. Those are the kind of things you can kind of start pumping. Or if you just have an idea, you can literally just write. It doesn't have to be a picture. And that's the thing with social media is you see all these little post things. I mean, I quote once in a while, but it's probably because I'm trying to get myself out of a mood or into a mood, one of the two. So it helps me do it and share it. I'm going to share it. Same thing. You have a thought. I just learned that so-and-so changed the design criteria for whatever in this state, and I watched a video, go check it out.
So what would be your suggestion then to anybody that is, well, not really even just in this industry, but you could speak on that more clearly than people. Look, you're a broker, you're a builder, you're a tile setter, you're a framer, you're a whatever, and you wanted to use
Not
social,
really a tile setter.
or an architect. No, I'm just saying if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
were out there.
Sure, all those different people.
What would be your suggestion then to say, look, this I think would be a good way to do it? Should they have a YouTube how-to section? Should they start their own channel? Should they just start posting their finished products on Instagram? Should they, you know what I mean? I think a lot of
there's so many avenues out there to use, and you can combine them as we're doing, as I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
I think you, just like anything, just I mean, I think about my wife, and she's a physician assistant, and as PAs, you can really jump from one specialty to another with some training, right? Which, as a doctor, that takes longer because there's a precedent and there's different regulation. But what you do as a PA is you find a specialty you like, and you value add it. You get better at that. Like Katrina has a specialty within urology that not many other PAs even know how to do.
That's peen, right?
Well,
that's peen.
Peeing. She can pee without any problems.
No.
She
can tell you everything she needs to know about pain.
She knows how. I want to tell you about pee real quick.
Yeah.
She's got a specialty, but she, and if she was to use these platforms, she could talk specifically about that. And for her, probably because she's good like you in front of people, in front of the camera, that she could use YouTube as one platform. Social media on the other side, like Instagram, would be a great thing for her to continue to do, because she can share statistics and ideas that have come out recently, articles, So I think for all these other people, it's what are you good at? Like what sets you apart as a tile setter? What do you do differently than someone else? So now you're in a how-to kind of scenario where YouTube would be the best, because visually seeing your way of setting mosaic deco tile, or using Curdy products, and I found a new way to put the Curdy board up and waterproof a shower. There you go. Because and part of it's research and figuring out what other people have done, but your skill set is doing these things. That's what sets you apart when clients call. Why are they calling for you? Because you've been referred, because you did X, Y, Z for them, right? And now you can go share that. So you're in a teaching role. As a realtor, you could be talking about market value and what's changing within your little market. Like we've always talked about, get to know a market really well. Don't just be a realtor. What do you specialize in? You've got to have a specialty. And that's the same with social media.
What was that website that had all the modern houses?
Oh, there's a few of them out there. You mean like around here?
Yeah, no. Remember there was one broker here in
Mile High Modern. Peter
Modern.
Blank.
Peter Blank. Yeah. Plug for Peter Blank. Mile High Modern.
Yeah.
But he's a good example of that.
Fantastic example.
Mid-century modern architecture, I love. I want every listing when these houses come, and he built a brand around saying, kind of being the person.
Right.
And I think if you had one of these houses and you wanted to sell it, he understood it, he understood the community, and then he became the website, Mile High Modern, to where you would go to see some of the most unique modern or mid-century modern houses, and he would take nothing else.
Right.
This is what I take.
Right.
These are my clients, this is what I represent, I'm an expert in this, and he kind of just honed in on it.
He's a great example of that, because when it comes to social media, he's as all this stuff has evolved, he's branched out. Instagram, if you were to follow him on Instagram, he's sharing all those different listings and products within the modern homes that he's listing and showing, and clients and their feedback, and he's got a YouTube channel and doing tours like that. But that's all specific
Does
to.
he really? Does he
Oh,
really?
absolutely, yeah. MileHighModern.com, I believe, is his website, and you can have links to other media platforms from there. That's all he does. It's a fantastic example of, well, I'm a realtor. Oh,
so
yeah.
then when we do this, we should hashtag him. This is just where
but you're starting to get it. You're starting to get it. And when you do that, you're helping somebody who in return helps you, and
You're making them aware.
absolutely.
They may not. I mean, like the simple conceptual, like roadmap for this is very logical. I understand it,
Right.
and it's just like, but to do the action, and it's not like a lazy. I mean, you can't. I think that's the other thing that I thought was interesting about this. It's like, oh, I'm not making enough. I should post something today. I should post something. I thought, am I being lazy? You can't not. It's literally in your pocket.
Mm-hmm.
It's a conscious decision. It's not laziness. There's no action. I literally pull the phone out.
Right.
I can be on the couch. I can be proactive in my lazy state.
Mm-hmm.
I can be sitting around watching a KU basketball game or something and just go to my pictures and post and me and the kids, woo!
Or
You know
just
what I mean?
type out what's happening in the KU basketball.
Right. No, I know.
Right.
And I think that's the other thing too. I think when I get to that moment, I don't wanna feel an obligation. I think that's the other thing. It's not that it's and so that's why I think in business though, and how we kind of initially framed the question, I think it's interesting because there is a feeling of obligation that if you're not doing it, you're the newspaper, man.
Yeah.
Right? Like, dude, and so feels like there's this obligation. It's not easy to figure out exactly how to get everything to work and the schematics and how to do all of this. So it requires some conscious.
If you think about it in a difficult way, it's going to be
get done. Yeah.
But listen, and I'll throw this at you. Innovation doesn't happen by feeling obligation, right?
No.
Innovation doesn't happen by taking a day off or an hour off. It doesn't happen. I mean, your brain doesn't take time off. I mean, you specifically, until you're, in a different state, sleeping state, your brain's not off. It doesn't take time off. That's why that's why you feel tired at the end of the day. That's why you feel tired in the morning when you wake up.
That's why there's meditation.
That's why there's
to learn how to stop.
Because you have to stop it. At some point, everyone needs a break. We're human beings.
Yeah.
We're not robots. And it's important to pull back in order to understand what you're doing and to have a vision to move forward. You have to pull away from it too. But it doesn't, if you're feeling obligation and you're feeling like, I don't want to do this because I'm continuing, I got to continue to do it. That's not how things happen, change, get better, roll on. And that's where I've gotten past, like, oh, I'm on the phone and, that means I'm still working and I'm still, but with the way things are set up in social media, it allows us, good and bad, it allows us to do several things at once. I can, if I'm sending texts to people and they end up like after 4 or 5 texts, I'm going to call Shane. I don't want to talk to you right now because I'm actually doing 3 other things at once. Probably hanging out with my kids, whatever. If I'm on the phone, I can't focus, but I can send ideas and questions to somebody that within the working environment that they can see and respond at their leisure, right? While I continue to do what I'm doing. Same thing with social media. I can do these things and continue to work on other stuff or hang out with my family or even on vacation, I can do that stuff. So there's a piece of it that never stops. There's also a piece of it that allows us to pull back more than we had the ability to do before. So that's why I'm sitting there going, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, I think the other thing, and we can maybe put a bow on this, but I think the other thing too is, I think why I'm okay being put out there is generally because it's asked. Somebody says, will you come speak?
Right.
Or Evan, can you figure this out and then give the answer? But when it comes to social media, no one's asking.
Yeah.
So it's a conscious decision, well, I'm gonna go ahead and do it myself.
Yeah.
So no one's asked me, so I'm gonna go ahead and put this out.
Right.
And I think because the majority of people on social media, to me, fall into 3 categories. Look at me, or I want to change your thought, because here's my thought, think political, right? Or business related, right? That it's either, I want you guys all to see what I'm doing all the time, which seems really like inwardly, right? Which that's I think the private part.
Right.
Like that's me. I don't need you to see in that.
Sure.
And the other one I disdain, like I don't need to know your political view.
Right. And
Because the only reason you're doing that is because you're trying to get me to believe what you believe.
right.
But I have a completely different set of circumstances, understandings, upbringings, and all of this.
Mhm.
And I don't like, that's the same thing with like someone knocking on your door saying, join the Mormon church.
Right.
Like, dude, you're at my house.
Yeah.
Why do you think this is a place you can come project yourself on?
Right.
Get the F out of here,
Yeah.
right?
But you have a choice when it comes to social media. Just like if you're following somebody, if after a while you're like, man, I just all it is this comment, like you're wrong, I'm right. Then you don't have to follow them anymore. It's
But
the
what
same.
happens if that's your cousin? And I want to follow that
I
person.
would just
Or
tell
your
you,
uncle.
You're an
or, but here's the thing.
We have
I
the
disagree
ability.
with them.
Sure.
This is the thing. It's like, we have family members within our family,
Mhm.
our family,
Mhm.
our aunts, uncles, cousins. We have a diverse political.
It's all over the
ideology.
map. Yeah, absolutely.
Ranging from really strong viewpoints
Uh-huh.
to, to not as strong
Right.
on right, left, center. I mean, we are so. And so when one of these comes across as like really strong one way or the other, I'm not going to block those comments.
No. Of course
Because
not.
I want to see, I want you to. That's the weird part. Like I say, I don't want to share myself private, but I really like looking at my niece's volleyball games.
Right.
Avery, I'm so glad my sister posts stuff
Right.
because I get to say it, and that's honestly that's one of the reasons why I feel guilt.
Yeah.
Because I get so much joy. I see I get to see Avery and Triton and Seth's news, things that he's doing and the kids, and my parents are out on the beach. I get to see it, so I get it, but
they're
I
using
don't
that
like
platform to share with friends,
Share
and
friends and family.
right? So it's a
Right.
faster way to do that. That's what they use it for.
I see the benefit.
You
but-
don't want to do that. That's totally fine. Like I mean, sirs, what content I have out there. I'm not going to get up and I'm not even on here. I mean, depending on who's our guest, I'm not going to get up on this thing and really talk political stuff because it's just not who I am. I don't
Yeah.
like to do that. If someone says something really
I would
stupid,
love to engage politically, but unfortunately, they think that you're arguing a side.
yeah,
I just want to be asking a question.
exactly.
So my point to that was that if I feel that when somebody is sharing their opinion, let's call it political,
Mhm.
that my reaction is, oh my God, stop.
What
I
people
don't
do that
share
way.
your viewpoint, and the only reason you're doing this is to hopefully try to enroll others on your ideas to come join your side.
Maybe.